Today's episode has been brought to you by Zependo. Zependo gives the power to manage contracts, edit them on the fly, send for e-signatures, manage expirations, alerts, and more, all unlimited. Try it today and get 15% off your first purchase. Just use coupon code VINCE1076. That's capital V, lowercase INCE, 1076. Hi there, my name is Vince Salerno, and welcome to the Vince Salerno Podcast. If you're looking for a place to get your weekly filmmaker fix, well, you've come to the right place. On this podcast, I discuss the latest in movie news, such as trailers, rumors, and more. I also discuss trends in the film industry and give my own insight as a filmmaker with special guests that are friends and film fans alike. So grab your popcorn and a nice cold drink, sit back and relax, because the Vince Salerno Podcast starts right now. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Vince Salerno Podcast, episode 58. I'm your host, Vince Salerno, and this has been a long-delayed episode that's finally coming out. I am so sorry. I said this was going to be out a week after the last episode, and life got in the way. Life and many other things. I've actually got some exciting announcements coming for the Vince Salerno Podcast and for my YouTube podcast stuff in general. Some stuff that's still in the works, but I will wait to announce it because it's not official yet. So stay tuned for an exciting announcement for the Vince Salerno Podcast coming very soon. In the meantime, we are going to continue our conversation, our review of Spiderman No Way Home with Shelby Turner. This is part 2 of our review. I know that we're a little past the hype of Spider-Man. There was already the announcement of the physical media release. The marketing has already revealed all the spoilers, revealing the Spider-Man, the villains, the emotional ending, all that stuff. So we're going to get into the rest of our review right now. For those curious, Spider-Man No Way Home will be officially released on DVD and Blu-ray April 12th. So I guess we're kind of coming in clutch for that in time for the physical copy release of Spider-Man No Way Home, which you bet your bottom dollar I'm going to pick up. Probably not, on April 12th, but I'm definitely going to get a physical copy of Spider-Man No Way Home because, frankly, in my opinion, I don't know if I say this in the review or not, but I'm pretty sure I said this, it's the best Spider-Man movie. It really is. It has the heart. It has a great portrayal of Peter Parker and Spider-Man in this film. And it really gets to the heart of what Spider-Man means to people, especially in film. But I'm not going to rehash my review here. Let the review speak for itself, so let's get right into it. The second half of my review featuring Shelby Turner for Spider-Man No Way Home.
At the end of the movie, Peter decides to let Doctor Strange complete the spell. It's the only way that they're going to save the multiverse. And as a sacrifice, he has to let everybody, including MJ and Ned, forget who he is. And the movie ends with this final scene where Peter goes to this the diner that MJ works at. He's going to tell them everything and make them remember, but then he sees that they got into MIT. And that they're happy and that they're fine, that they're safe. And he decides not to tell them and he lets them go. And he gets a small little apartment. He makes a brand new Spider-Man. He goes off into the snowy night by himself, living to fight another day, because with great power comes great responsibility. And I think that is the best ending to any Spider-Man movie ever.
No.
Okay, well, maybe I've overstepped my bounds here a bit.
No, I was just
actually,
like,
as I'm saying, I don't even know if I agree with myself.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was like, to break our hearts. They did it, but I was like, man.
But that's who Spider-Man is. Spider-Man makes the tough choices for the betterment of the people he loves. And if you know what, it harkens back to the end of Spider-Man 1 with Tobey Maguire, where he fought, like that whole movie is a love story about him wanting to have MJ, and he finally earns her. He finally gets her love, and he loves her, the girl of his dreams, and he has to let her go because with great power comes great responsibility, and he cannot let her get hurt. And obviously the movies play out and kind of play with that. But that always affected me as a kid, seeing that, like, he got the girl, why is he letting her go? Like, but as an adult, I now realize, like, he loved her so much.
He was willing to let her
pushed her away to keep her safe. Yeah. And that's what he's doing, what Peter's doing in this movie.
And I think it was like different too, because like they actually don't remember him. So Peter was like, they're fine. You know, like it's not like they're like, I have to break her heart in order to have her, you know, like, and I think that was kind of a cool moment, how when she put her hair back and you saw, and then that's when Peter was like, you know, I
can't do this to you.
It was like, I don't want her. I love her so much. But at the same time, that's like kind of selfish. Just kidding. Because I want them to, you know, because like, look at how much joy and love, and like, look at kind of how boring like MJ and Ned were, like just kind of like living their lives. And, you know, Peter, like their best friend, like brought this kind of excitement. And, you know, with friends also have, you know, sacrifices you have to make, and but it doesn't mean that like, okay, well, you're just too difficult to be with, so I'm gonna leave. You know, they were always with him no matter what. They're and loyal, even if and it's their choice whether or not they want to be involved with him or not. You know, if they were so concerned about MIT and so concerned about all these things that were like, you know what, this is a deal breaker, Peter, like we can't be friends with you anymore. Through everything, they were like, I don't care what it is, I'm going to be your friend. So in that sense, it was kind of like, that is so sad. Like you could totally, like 100%, you could totally work this out. It's like 50 first dates. Like you could tell her again, she would understand. You could show her the picture of you and Ned that you have in your apartment. You could, come on, like you could do it. 100% can do it. But it was like I think for this movie, I will agree that it was like a pretty perfect ending, because, and then it was kind of cool that it was like, well, like I miss your nanotech suit, but it's also like that's kind of like
finally made a
suit from, and it's like his suit and with his like little scanner, which is like so like classic Spider-Man, and it's like also
it oh my gosh,
also a nod to the video game, like. Yeah. So
that's why I'm so excited for the next movie, because it's like, okay, we finally got this version of Spider-Man to a point where he's got no Stark tech. He doesn't have the help of Nick Fury or Shield. Yeah. He doesn't have the help of Doctor Strange. He's on his own, and he makes his own costume and everything. And I'm sure that he's going to get reintroduced into the Avengers and all that stuff.
I think so too. And I think honestly, in the end, there's this big thing that's going to happen, because just to get a little MCU up in here, like, you know, like Guardians of the Galaxy, like Gamora still doesn't know who Quill is, and like we might have this big spell that happens in Doctor Strange 2 or 3 that's like, let's just fix all this shit, and like, you know, like, okay, you're gonna remember, and it's gonna be this like kind of big reunion thing. That's a prediction of mine, because I want it to happen, but I don't know if it will. You know, I'm not sure if they'll just keep the multiverse like how it is.
I think the ending is also very attractive. I mean, as fellow Catholics who believe in self-sacrificial love, like how a Spider-Man movie like nails self-sacrificial love in such a powerful way. It's just that's what got me emotional. It's just like that's what it means to be you know, Christian. It's just, you know, to do the difficult thing and to suffer for the betterment of others, you know, and to
100%
be there for your fellow man. So am I saying Spider-Man No Way Home is a Christian movie? Maybe.
I mean, I think a lot of superhero, that's what's so awesome about superhero movies, because it shows like it always has those kind of like, you know, for the better betterment of other people, you know,
I
like
think that's why they're
for
so
common
appealing.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too, because it's like, you know, without sacrifice, there's no no reward a lot of times, you know. And so like if you didn't sacrifice for people, then what do you have, you know? And that's kind of the ultimate definition of you know, the paradox of the cross, not to get too theological.
Right. Yeah.
But it's like yeah, I agree. I think that's why a lot of these movies are like, oh, that's so cool, like we see our humanity in these superheroes, but then again we also see like, wow, it takes, in order to have this responsibility, you know, you have to make sacrifices. So it's pretty cool. I agree.
I think the other cool thing about the ending is that you know, yes, Peter's alone, but technically he's not, because he knows that somewhere in the multiverse, his other two variants have gone through the same things and are going through the same things. So he knows that he's not alone in this struggle.
For sure.
That he has two older brothers who are Spider-Maning alongside him.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I loved about the dynamic too, is that they treat them, they're like three brothers. Like,
they are.
Tobey Maguire's the big brother, Tom Holland's like the young baby brother, and then Andrew Garfield's like the middle child that's kind of a loser.
Yeah.
He's totally on his movies, nothing else.
No, but 100% no. And I think it was cool too, because now Peter's like, wow, like not, and I think it's just natural that they were like, no, we're brothers, because in almost every way, they've shared the same emotions. They've shared the same struggles. They've shared the same, you know, things in their life events. They've lost people in the same way. So yeah, that was so cool.
Spider-Man echoes across the multiverse. Yeah.
You know, okay, I'm going to have to say I'm going to cheat too. My second favorite part was when they all met him on top of the roof and he was crying and they were like, this is what happened to me, dude. And like, oh my gosh, that was such a good scene. The acting out of all three of them was just phenomenal. I mean, like, honestly, we've seen Tom Holland like get emotional, but like, I don't know, I really believed him there. And I was like, as an actor, I was like, man, this is a green screen right now. And you guys are just talking to each other, like in a room. Like that's essentially what it was. So like the connection and I just, as an actor, that made me just, good job, guys.
At that moment, I realized that we had sorely underappreciated Andrew Garfield, that we did not deserve him at all.
Oh gosh. Well, Andrew Garfield.
My gosh, what have we done?
No, he is.
I mean, full disclosure, I've never been a anti Andrew Garfield person with him being Spider-Man, but I was just like, we have not appreciated this man for what he's done with the character.
Oh no, I have. Trust me.
I mean, you have, but I haven't.
No, yeah, and I think that was really cool for Andrew Garfield because like he's been through a lot. These last couple of years, like he lost his mom and like he had a lot of things happen to, and I think he put a lot of that into his performance and like gave just such an authentic, he's just such a beautiful, vulnerable, authentic actor in everything that he does. And so it was just great.
He's one of the few that feels like he's doing this not for like the showmanship and the fame of, he feels like he feels very genuine. It's like he actually picks his roles and does what he does because he loves doing it, not because he wants to be a famous actor.
Oh yeah, that's exactly. I mean, he said that. So it's, and Tom Holland actually is the same way. Like he'll go do random like plays and stuff, you know, like he just
Tom Holland too to that. I can't say the same for Tobey Maguire. I don't know, but
I know. I feel like Tobey Maguire is like those guys who were like, no, I did my movies and I'm good. And that's totally awesome too. Like, I think that's great when actors are like, yeah, I did this. It's not that you failed. Like, oh, you didn't become a star. What's wrong with you? It's like, oh, like you did your movies and you were like, no, I'm good with that. Like, that was fun. That was a fun time in my life. And now I'm going to do this. And like, that's what's great about life, that you can change your mind at any time, even if you get like that kind of fame, you know? So I think that's great about Tobey Maguire too. Like, and he did, oh my gosh, he did a great job. I loved it. Let's
talk about the cast and just what we thought about the performances. We've kind of talked already about Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire and their acting. So I think we can put them aside. Let's talk about Tom Holland, because I think he finally achieves what I've been wanting from a Spider-Man movie, which is portrayal of Peter's humor. Peter's suffering and his resilience to keep going and struggling to keep going at times. And I think he embodies all of those things really, really well. And it really like dawns on him that like the beautiful thing about his character in this is again, like he learns with the true tenet of Spider-Man, which is with great power comes great responsibility. And at a point where he's at his lowest, like Aunt May is dead, the villains are going to destroy the universe and it's his fault. He's at this dead low point, and like you said, that rooftop scene on the school was beautifully acted by all three Spider-Man, but particularly Tom Holland, who's just this broken kid who's just is lost.
I agree. Yeah, I really, like I said, I really feel like that was like kind of like, and I think it was appropriate too, you know, because if we saw that out of Spider-Man, Tom Holland Spider-Man before, it'd be kind of out of place, you know, because there's not really anything that he's a pretty cool kid with not that many problems, you know, like he's not really had a lot of tragedy. He's just kind of like, you know, and even if he had Stark, but you know, that was different, you know, it wasn't something out of his hand, you know, it was
it's like that Uncle Ben died, but
right,
we don't actually see that.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's kind of like, okay, you know, those were things that were kind of natural, like ways of life that everybody kind of goes through. But like when you like experience tragedy and you're just at your lowest point and that kind of thing is like, we actually got to see Spider-Man become Spider-Man, you know, through these things. And so that was really cool. I thought that was so cool. Like it was almost kind of like Tom Holland has been like, you know, I don't want to let like my cat out of the bag yet, you know, with his like acting abilities. He was playing fun Spider-Man. And then finally when it was like even when Tony Stark died, like that's a different Peter Parker than like, you know, when this happened, you know,
right. Yeah.
Like everything. And so it was like, man, this is my fault. And it was just like a whole different, he just put all the different actions and like, you know, motivation behind the performance that made sense and made it that much more heartfelt. So I thought he did great. It was awesome.
Yeah. It's funny. I remember him saying when he first got the role and he was starting to do the trilogy, he said that his goal for his Spider-Man was to be the next, I think he said either the next Marty McFly or the next Ferris Bueller.
Oh, cool.
And I see that now. Like it makes sense in how he portrayed his Spider-Man.
Yeah.
He is kind of a Marty McFly type guy who doesn't really know what's going on, but still somewhat competent. But like this allows him to maintain that portrayal of the character while maturing the character into what we know Spider-Man to be from the comics and from just the heart of who Spider-Man is. So
totally, that's cool. I didn't know he said that because
he said that just recently. I don't think it's been known.
I was like, I mean,
they did say that like that Homecoming was kind of like a nod to like the John Hughes movies. That's kind of the tone they were going for.
Right.
So yeah, let's talk about. I'm curious what you think about Zendaya'S Mj. I thought she was a wasted character in the first movie. I thought she was okay in this movie. I think she really brought it in this one. Like, I don't think we've had much connection to her, me personally. Like,
totally.
But I think she really brought it with this movie.
Yeah.
A lot of people have their issues with her being the MJ, but I'm fine with it because her name is Michelle Jones, not Mary Jane. So there's still a Mary Jane out there.
Right.
But I mean, like it's fine if they want to make a new character, out of a new character and call her MJ, and not make it Mary Jane. It's like, okay, if you're gonna do that, like that's fine. I don't care.
Right. I think that was like the big deal like last time, because at the time we didn't know that Zendaya was actually like attached to being MJ, you know. It was kind of all that hype around like, wait, what? Why is it Zendaya? Like, that doesn't make sense. Like, the comic book MJs are totally different, you know? And so that was my thing where I was like, what? Why are they doing this? Like I want to see like comic book accurate, like nerdy, almost like cosplay kind of like, let's do this. Like, let me see the comic book, you know, like, because we didn't get that MJ. I mean, we almost got her in like the originals, you know, but it was kind of like, okay, let's like, you know, on the MCU, great. Yeah. And then when we got this MJ, I was kind of like, but now, you know, after seeing all of the movie, I mean, even just after the first one, I was like, oh, I like her. Like, it's totally different. And I think it's amazing how Zendaya, like, she's like a gorgeous, like, adult woman. And you see her as like MJ and you're kind of like, wow, like hair and makeup and just, she totally is a different character. Like, she puts on an MJ that is totally different, like her little awkwardness and stuff. And I'm just like, she definitely transformed herself. And I think that is pretty amazing. Like, I really enjoy watching Zendaya as MJ, you know, like I liked that. And it didn't feel like gimmicky. It didn't feel like I'm putting on this like nerdy girl, you know. It's like, no, like I authentically, if I saw you on the street acting like that, I would think that's just your personality, you know, like that's cool. That's good acting. So
it feels like she's kind of pulling from her like Disney Channel roots a little bit.
Kind of, but even in that, even like when she was in that, she was like this glam, like outgoing, like super, you know, she never really has played this like kind of awkward girl, you know. And so, and with Tom Holland, like, to be honest, it's a little bit a stretch because you're like, Tom Holland's beautiful. Like, yeah, he's not like Thor beautiful, but like he's beautiful. Like, how could he be a nerd? You know what I mean? Like, it kind of like doesn't fit. But then you're like, oh no, like,
but they're actors, so
they do a good job. They do a good job.
Yeah. Continuing on, I think Jacob Batalon, who plays Ned, he's always a great comic relief. I think he doesn't get enough attention. I think it was a really good choice to not make like Harry Osborn the best friend in the trilogy. I think it was cool to have. It was fun to see Peter play off of somebody who's not like, doesn't have daddy issues and is going to eventually, you know, turn against him or something.
Right, like totally.
It was cool to have of Peter have a best friend that was loyal to him from the beginning.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's what's really cool about like even the MJ thing, like how she's not Mary Jane, she's Michelle Jones Watson. And so like even in the movies when like Norman comes into the Undercroft and stuff and he's like, wait, what's your name? Like, you're not MJ. And she's like, it's actually, you know, like Michelle Jones. And he's like, interesting. You know, it's like, oh, okay, they set that up. Like, they wouldn't have just, if it didn't make sense, like, if it didn't matter, he wouldn't have said that, you know? So I think it's also playing to like, oh, like, we've been in the multiverse this whole time.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, they've planned this. Like, she's not just Mary Jane. Like, so I think, I thought Ned was really cool. And like, I love his like Filipino culture and how we got to see like his Lola in this one. Like, that was so fun. Like, I thought that was really cool.
That was hilarious. That added to the comedy of
totally
Spider-Man coming through the house.
It was like perfect. That was such a good scene.
I love his line where he's like, find Peter Parker. It's like, oh, it's just some random guy. It's like, why are you, idiot?
Yeah. So funny. No, I think there were a few lines that I think because he is the comic relief, Marvel gets very like, okay, that was a quotable gimmicky line, you know, things like that. But it's like, whatever, that's fine. That's comic book, you know, who cares?
That's his character. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, or like, yeah, I thought it was fun. I thought it was great. But the villains now,
the villains.
Everything was spot on. 100%, 100%. Jamie Foxx, so funny. Love how he plays that character. Like, it's not anything out of the normal, but it's like, it fits, and that's what he made for his character, and it's hilarious. And then Willem Dafoe, we already talked about him a little bit. Like, I think he's just a phenomenal actor already, and the fact how he could play, like the way he plays Norman, and then the way he plays is just so good. It's so drastically different that it's like just very well done. And then Alfred Molina, we haven't talked about him a whole lot, but he's so good. He's the best dog on. Like, freaking so good. Like he's up there with, you know, Willem Dafoe in my opinion. Like they're so committed, and like they don't play this like I'm this gimmicky comic book villain. Like he is an actual villain with actual struggles.
They give him like reality, you know, like there's a reason why they are what they are.
Right.
But at the same time, I do like that, like they have the like they almost act as if they're in the tone of the movies that they were in, because the Sam Raimi movies were a little gimmicky because, you know, it's just a different time. I think they've aged well because of, despite that, like, you know, they're some of the most memeable movies out there, the Spider-Man.
Right.
And so I just lost my train of thought.
That like they play very grounded, like relatable villains. They're not like gimmicky.
Yeah, okay, yeah, but then like you have Doc Ock like grabbing a car on the interstate and going like catch. It's just like
so good.
It's so funny.
I know.
It's not, doesn't fit into this universe per se, but it's funny. It works because you know where those villains come from.
Exactly. And that's why it was remained so grounded even in the multiverse. And that's like what we got with like Into the Spider-Verse with Sony animation movies. Is like they were from their exact universe, so they're gonna continue to be like exactly what they are in this universe. It doesn't matter. And so that's like that was kind of cool to see, because that's like Green Goblin, even the stuff he would say and stuff, you know, you're like, okay, that's totally out of that. Or like, it's funny because it almost felt like disjointed, but the fact that they were so in their own universes and came together was what kind of made it unifying. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, it's exciting to see these characters again, because it feels like a spiritual continuation of what was.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I absolutely. Doc Ock, Alfred Molina was, to me, the best. I mean, also cool to see his character take a non-villainous, like his arc ends pretty early on in the second act, where he kind of becomes restored and becomes the good person that he was once before.
But even in that, like, even in that, it like wasn't too quick, you know. It's like, because we already know who he is, so the fact that we were able to fix him that quickly was like, oh, that's so cool. Now we get to see him in this. And we can't forget about Sandman, Thomas Hayden Church. He's great.
And so what's funny about both those performances, they're both completely CGI and completely voiceover. I did some research, and Hayden Church and I don't remember the actor who plays the lizard. It's like I forget his name. Like, I'm sorry. Reese Ifans or something like that. Okay. Anyways, both of them were going to be in the movie physically, but they had scheduling conflicts. So the best they could do was do voiceover work. So that's why you never see Thomas Hayden Church actually like normal, because he obviously appears normal in the movie, like with the shirt and stuff. That's why he constantly appears like a whole sand person, or a literal Sandman, I guess. Because that was CGI him.
Oh, sorry. Did they CGI him in the end too, when he like starts to turn back?
That is actually archived footage from Spider-Man 3.
Oh my god!
You can go back if you look at the scene where he's fighting Spider-Man in the subways, and Spider-Man like sprays the water on him, and he's like drowning. That is from that scene.
That's crazy.
And then the scene where Dr. Connors turns from the lizard, that's from the end of Amazing Spider-Man 1.
What? That is so cool.
Just a little movie magic for you.
Oh my gosh. Yes, his name is Reese Ilfan. I don't know how to say it.
Yeah, the last name is hard to say, but I know his first name is
fans, but yeah, right. But oh my gosh, that is so cool. See, that's great. I didn't realize that.
Even with their limited performance, I felt like it was just good to see those characters again, and they acknowledge events that have happened in the past movies and stuff.
Right.
Like all of them, all their deaths and stuff. And technically there's a plot hole with that, with like everybody who knows Peter Parker as Spider-Man gets pulled into the universe, but Elektra doesn't know who Peter Parker Peter Parker is Spider-Man.
Oh.
But the reason, but I chop that up to, it's
Oh,
not just people who know Peter Parker is Spider-Man. It's people who know Peter Parker's Spider-Man.
I see.
That's just how I defend it in my head. I don't think that that's actually a thing, but because it doesn't. I mean, like, how you're not just gonna not let Electro be in the movie. So
Yeah, wait a sec.
because there's all these villains that were
My brain
teased
is
to
like,
be coming into the multiverse that you think like, well, they obviously some of these people don't know Peter Parker, Spider-Man. They probably know Spider-Man. So and Venom too. Like, how did Venom get in there? Like, Venom has this like hive mind knowledge, so he probably knows who Spider-Man is.
okay, let's talk about that.
Yeah, let's actually let's round out the cast.
Okay.
And then let's talk about post-credit scenes.
Okay.
So always great to see Happy Hogan in the movie.
Yeah.
I love Jon Favreau. He's like
I love him.
He's like the MCU dad.
He is. Oh gosh.
You always feel good seeing him. It's like, gotta love that man. He comes over here, does a good Happy Hogan portrayal. Then he goes back over to Lucasfilm, makes a butt kicking Star Wars show.
I know, he's great. And honorable mention, the film Elf. That's great film.
Yeah, don't get me started on Jon Favreau. I think he might be my all-time favorite filmmaker.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's so versatile. And yeah, it's crazy. Like, I almost forget sometimes that like he is like the powerhouse person that he is, because you see him play roles like Happy and you're like, oh my gosh, like that just must be how he is. But no, that's him acting too. Because you see him in like serious situations, you're like, no, he's a normal guy. But like, he's not always like this. He's an actor. He's so
yeah it's always great to see him. I'm wondering if this is the last time we see him at all in the MCU, or if we'll see him again. I thought he was going to die in this movie, to be completely honest with you.
Oh, really?
But Marissa Tomei, let's talk about her. She's the one that bites the dust. I like her role in this film, where she really does kind of instill in Peter that, like, if there is a wrong that needs to right, you have a responsibility to do that.
Right.
And, like, she instilled in him that you have the responsibility to help these people because you can, even when it all goes to crap and Green Goblin kills her and everybody. It's like, and his first instinct is not to care, but she told him with great power comes great responsibility, and he knows that the other Spider-Man heard that, and it kind of instills in Peter again that, like, okay, like she said, I have the ability to fix this, to save these people. I should.
Yeah.
Not because it's not my problem, but because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah. That was
she had a great, I think, final performance in this movie.
I think so too. I think it might have been her best performance, just because, like, honestly, like, her Aunt May, it was fun and different, but it wasn't like, when I first saw it, I was like, okay, that's just, I didn't see any, it was just like, okay, she's fine. It's not like, oh yeah, but I liked it. It was just like, okay, she's a good Aunt May figure, for Peter.
I don't think she's the best Aunt May we've had, but she definitely serves a purpose in this trilogy.
Yeah, and I liked that she was kind of a more like hip aunt, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like play on that. It's like they make her a little more modern than like your old little granny Aunt May,
Yeah.
I did like that.
She was the hot Aunt May.
Yeah, which was great. I think we needed one of those. I mean, hey, Sally Field is, but
oh my gosh, Sally Field, that was perfect.
Yeah, she was great.
They should have just brought her back.
That would have been cool, but
let's we kind of already talked about him, but always love seeing Benedict Cumberbatch return to Doctor Strange. He's just got the role down to a T. Honestly, I loved seeing, because I've wanted to see a Spider-Man Doctor Strange team up for a while, because their team ups in the comic books are like some of the best team ups that you've ever seen.
Yeah, that's so cool.
And it kind of sucks that they had a little bit of a falling out, but like by the end, they kind of are back on track, because Peter's wanting to do the right thing to fix it, but then he's like, oh crap, well now you're making me feel bad because I don't want you to be forgotten.
Right. That was a great moment. That was so sad.
And then when he's like, call me sir, call me Steven, and like the back and forth, like the way that paid off at the end was a really nice little button on their friendship.
Yeah, and I love how like how actors, they don't make these lines seem like, oh, this is a line that I'm, it was like, even when he corrected himself, like in the end, I don't know if anybody caught it, but he was like, everybody you know and love, everyone will forget you, and it's like, that was coming from like, I love you, kind of a thing. Like, I am gonna miss you. I'm gonna, this sucks. Like, I'm gonna forget you. But I feel like Doctor Strange, of all people, if Peter Parker went to go try and find Doctor Strange later, that could be worked out. Like that, like, I don't think he'd be like, what? This is crazy. He'd be like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, like I said, I think that somehow it's going to work out to where Peter Parker is going to be in the Avengers still. Because they're not just going to make Avengers movie without Peter Parker now. It's like,
right.
But asking to not make money at that point.
Yeah, I know. It's like, what the heck? No, but
finish your thought.
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, I really liked their like relationship in this movie, and I think it was, like you said, an homage to the comics. It was nice.
Yeah. Last character I want to talk before we move on is the triumphant return of Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock, baby.
Oh my gosh, that was so good. Okay, like JJ and I, if anybody doesn't know, JJ is my boyfriend. He's also an actor producer, one of our best friends. And he looked at me and he was like, yes, I knew it, in the theater. And I was like,
break out his Daredevil action figure that I bought him.
Yeah, he whips it out of his pocket.
Yes.
Yes. No, it was so good. Like, that's one of his favorite like superheroes, and he's such a cool superhero, like so neat. And that was such a good moment when he was like, he catches the brick, and I think we all freaked out when we were like, how did you do that? I'm a really good lawyer. That was great. That was so good. Yeah, I love that.
I remember watching that show with JJ, and we were both so bummed that it got canceled.
Yeah. I think a lot of people.
Obviously, the rumor is that they're cherry picking the actors from those shows and bringing them into the MCU. So we're going to see a lot more of Matt Murdock. We're going to see him debut as Daredevil probably next year, or this year, actually.
That's awesome.
So
yeah, that's like one thing I want to comment on, like, all together, is like the fact that we live in this time that our generation grew up with the Tobey Maguires, then we were allowed to have our prince, Andrew Garfield, be the Amazing Spider-Man. And then we got to see like the entire MCU. Like, that was like our like youth, like, and then now to this like Endgame, and then here, and then some magic happened where we live in a world where now TV and film crossover, and streaming is the new prime time, and like all this stuff that like we could have not predicted when we were kids. And now we're seeing all of our like just logistically the actual actors from the different movies entirely in one movie. Like, the fact that we can do that now, like that is just like, what? Like, I remember as a kid when I would like see a cartoon or whatever, and like they suddenly switched out the actor's voice, and I would know, I'd be like, wait, that's not the same actor, like, even as a kid. And then, so the fact that they like kept it consistent, and like we're actually seeing like, that's like groundbreaking, in my opinion. I think that's just like crazy that we're at this point where we're like, I feel like there were tropes for so long that we're like, no, TV is this, film is this, and like we don't cross over, like, yeah. And I think it's a lot of rights and contracts stuff, and now we're like, hey, let's come together and like mess with this a little bit.
Yeah. Make it multi. We're ready for it. Yeah,
that is so cool that we live in that age. Like, That's so cool.
I remember as a kid getting excited when the cartoon Spider-Man was on, and there was a Daredevil episode.
Oh.
I remember I made my mom drive me to Blockbuster and rent that movie.
That's great.
I was like, I want to see the Daredevil Spider-Man crossover.
Oh
and
my
now
God.
we're seeing like this stuff in live action, and it's like it's like
Yeah,
being
like,
a kid again.
Exactly. It's so cool. It's so cool. Like, it's basically like what we all, if people understand the comic book world and like how everyone would fight everyone regardless of what universe you were in, it was like Hulk versus this guy, like it just doesn't matter like who, and that's what we're seeing, and we're seeing it with this same actors. That's cool. That is so cool to me. I'm just like,
it really is. It's a great, like you said, it's a great time to be alive. Great time to be a nerd.
Yes, it is.
So we're gonna skip the craftsmanship because I think we both agree this is a well-made movie. Let's talk about the post.
We know Marvel. We know what Marvel does. We know their special effects. Yes.
I think it's more impressive. This is a Sony movie more so than a Marvel movie. I mean, I think Sony should be patting themselves on the back for this movie.
Oh, I think that's why this has been such a battle with Sony and Disney and Marvel and for so long. Like, remember there was a time that emotions got high and they were like, no, okay, that's it. We're going to pull Spider-Man out, and then you're like, what's going on? I think it was just like lots of deals being made and finally they got on the same page.
Yeah.
Good job.
And
Good job, Sony.
This was a great year for Sony with not just this, but Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Oh, yeah. I did not see that.
Got to tell you, Shelby, as a diehard Ghostbusters fan, it did good.
Really?
It did good.
Okay, I will see it. That is something I've been wanting to
Definitely
watch. It looks like fun.
It is. It's great. McKenna Grace, fantastic actress.
Oh, I love her. I do really love her. I remember I was actually on a set at Sony Studios, and they had the Ghostbusters like full on car on set.
No way.
Yeah, just like outside. I was like, what the heck? This is so cool. So, I obviously couldn't take a picture because I was on set, but it was really cool. I just had to share that.
That's so awesome. That must have been really cool.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, let's talk about the post-credit scenes, and let's get into our final thoughts.
Okay.
So the Venom post-credit scene, first and foremost. What were your thoughts on that? I mean, we knew from Venom 2 that he jumped universes, him and Eddie Brock.
Right. I was kind of like, wait, what? Like, I had like almost forgotten like what happened, and I was like, wait a second, and then like it hit me, and I was like, oh, wait a second. And then when he leaves, like a little bit of it. So now I'm just like, I don't know. I don't have any predictions. I'm just like, so like, I don't know what they're gonna do with that. Like, what do you think?
I think that they're probably doing a Venom like symbiote movie.
Probably, but like as how he fits into like this universe, I'm kind of like,
I wonder if, because in the comics, I believe what the next Avengers movie is going to be is a event called Secret Wars, which has to do with the variants and the multiverses and stuff, and it's basically
cool.
This like crazy like space god person like takes all these people from different universes and just has them battle, and they all figure out what's going on, and then they have to all rise up against this guy. And in that Secret Wars comic book, I heard that that's when Spider-Man first gets the Venom symbiote. I wonder if they're going to not do exactly how it's done in the comics, but like basically give him the symbiote suit to go into space and to fight all these different variants. And you'll see Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire. Then you'll get Spider-Man 4, and that'll be like the real like Venom versus Spider-Man thing. Possibly. That's just my guess.
Okay. I would love to see that.
But I also think that they're making Venom 3, and Venom 3 is rumored to be a multiverse movie. So I think maybe Tom Holland appears in that, and because he has part of the symbiote, that's how he can jump universes as well, and he goes into Eddie Brock's universe. Maybe, I mean, the sky's the limit.
No.
But like,
I know at this point, that's the whole thing with this now. That's why I'm kind of just like, I have some predictions of things that I want to have happen, but literally I don't like. They have been setting themselves up so they can have this new era of Marvel. You know, they want to make another, you know, they can do whatever they want now. And so
yeah.
I don't know what they're
literally
do.
all I know is that they've been wanting to do they've been trying to set up a Spider-Man versus Venom movie. And I think in one way or another, whether that's the next Spider-Man film or the next Venom film or the next Avengers film, and regardless, that is, I believe, the path they're heading down with that particular post-credit scene.
Or do you think, I think JJ said this, somebody, or I don't remember where I read this or whatever, but like, do you think we might get like a dark Tom Holland Spider-Man like we did in Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man 3? You know?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think if they do Spider-Man 4 and he still has a symbiote, that they're probably going to do something like that.
Okay.
Where it's that story, but not necessarily the way it was done in Spider-Man 3.
Yeah, I would like, part of me would like hate to see that, because it's kind of like, because I don't want Tom Holland, like our Spider-Man who has like come this far, to like fall into the temptation, the grasps of this. So, but you know, as long as he comes out in the end, they can do it. But please do not make him evil.
I mean, with the way that they've also portrayed Venom, he's not necessarily the most intimidating guy. So
he's like the anti-hero, right?
Yeah. So there's
kind of like him. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a million ways that you can cut that.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see what they do.
We'll see
if any of our predictions come true. That'll be interesting.
Spot on or dead wrong.
Yeah.
But the second post-credit scene, which I think is the most exciting one of the two.
Yeah.
We get a full-on Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness trailer, which has already come out online and stuff, but let's talk about it anyways.
Yes.
I think that this goes to exactly what I was saying initially. Like Doctor Strange has done damage on the multiverse. Wanda has done damage on the multiverse. Loki, Sylvie, Kang. Like there's been so much. The multiverse is like trying to use an analogy or something. It's like I don't know, like a piece of paper. You know, you write on it and you just keep writing and scribbling on it. Eventually that piece of paper just becomes like, you know, bunch of scribbles and words, and maybe it's like torn up and ripped apart and shredded, and like that's the multiverse. It's breaking. The multiverse is a piece of paper that's being maybe a better analogy is,
thank you for bringing it down to us simpletons, Vinny.
That's what I'm here for. Think of it this way: the multiverse is, let me try that again, take two. The multiverse is like a piece of paper. You crumple it up into a ball and you unravel it. It's still intact, but it's, you know, bent up and out of shape. Maybe you like put some tears in it or whatever. It's still intact, but it's broken. You scribble on it, but you scribble on it furiously and you end up cutting through the paper. Well, it's still broken. It's all still technically intact, but like
it's falling apart,
being breached, and eventually it's just going to break. And everything's going to go chaotic. So that's the multiverse for you simpletons out there.
Exactly.
So I think that's what we're seeing in the trailer is the multiverse is coming undone. And there's going to be other things going on in the movie that are going to further this unraveling of the multiverse.
Yes. And I don't know how to feel about like the new villain in Doctor Strange and like but I'm excited to see Wanda, like Scarlet Witch and Doctor Strange in the same movie. That's kind of cool to see that, because I was curious where they were going to leave off, you know, with WandaVision, which I wish we had another season of it was just so well done, but I think they're done. Who knows? I mean,
I think we'll see those characters again. Like
Elizabeth Olsen, yeah, but like maybe
but not in that show like that. But I agree. Like that was. I think that next to Loki is the best show they've done.
Oh yeah, WandaVision was like groundbreaking. Like I thought that was like really, really technically smart and cool to do a show like that. Like whoever thought of that idea, great idea. But yeah, so I'm always skeptical when they make movies about my favorites because I'm like, okay, let's see what you're gonna do here. But I think I'm excited to see that, like, which I still haven't watched the Doctor Strange episode of What If, which might explain the dark Doctor Strange a little bit better. But like, you know, when he sees this like parallel of himself, like I don't know what that is. So
I don't think that's the Doctor Strange from the show.
Okay. That's just like
everybody's saying that. I don't see it because he looks nothing like him.
That's true.
I mean, yes, he looks like Doctor Strange, duh. but
no, but like this.
Look at the cartoon. He dresses a particular way.
Yeah.
He also, I guess I don't want to spoil it for you, but there's something very specific that happens to that version of Doctor Strange, that variant of Doctor Strange, to where that can't be him in the show.
Okay.
In the trailer. So I know everyone.
If I knew that, I probably would have known that.
He's got this like long beard, and he's got like. He's not even wearing the cape and the clothes that he actually wears in the cartoon.
Yeah, like when we saw that I don't know the technical term, but like the white vision from the comic books, like we knew that was that was that going on, you know, because that looked exactly like, you know, and then but yeah, so that would make sense where it's like, well, we've never seen they probably wouldn't do that. You know, it wouldn't be like that different. So anyway, we'll see what happens. I'm curious to see how that happened and like, or if that is the Doctor Strange, that is the Doctor Strange. Like, I don't know, like who's coming back to be like, no, like,
right.
I'm coming to say, I don't know. Maybe that's actually our Doctor Strange on a different timeline just later, you know, more like that kind of time stuff. Cause Loki, like, opened up time continuum stuff as well. I mean, so it's
definitely like a variant of Doctor Strange. I just don't think it's that specific variant because everyone's like, oh, it's Doctor Strange Supreme from the What If comic, the What If show. It's like,
yeah,
but it doesn't look anything like him. And
yeah, maybe. And I think the What Ifs were just kind of like a standalone, like honestly, What If. And it was also
full disclosure. I do think that version of Doctor Strange will be in the show, in the movie.
Oh,
because I do think you'll see him in it. I just don't think that was him. Also,
yeah, that makes sense.
Also, there's rumors that Captain Carter is going to be in Doctor Strange.
See, that's interesting. That's what I mean. Like, man, they can literally do anything. I have no idea. That would be sick though. I really liked that.
Mm-hmm. I think that Doctor Strange 2 is going to be, as long as they can do all the crazy stuff that they say they're going to do with variants and, you know, cameos across other Marvel properties. And there's rumors of like the X-Men and the Fantastic Four.
Yes.
And like people from like old cheesy 60s Marvel movies. If they can do stuff like that while still giving Stephen Strange his own arc, much like how they did in Spiderman, I'll be a happy camper.
Yeah, I think that's what's cool. That all of this opened it up, like starting from Loki to this movie, you know, it's like that we saw these weird like different versions of Loki. It could be, and then now with like combining actual actors from the actual universes, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
Like they could totally do that. So possibilities are endless. Good job, Marvel. Good job.
Exactly. Because Loki was the blueprint to understand how Spider-Man No Way Home was going to work.
Totally.
Because that's how you could see all these variants, and you see that, you know, you see the 3 Peter Parker variants, and now in Doctor Strange you're going to see multiple variants of Doctor Strange.
So this is going to be.
There's already 3 confirmed. There's our Doctor Strange. There's the Doctor Strange in the teaser. And then there was an action figure leak of a Defenders Strange. Which actually, if you look at, it's like a riff on one of his comic book costumes when he joins the superhero team, the Defenders.
Interesting.
So it's cool to see that, I guess, if you're a fan of the Defenders.
Yeah. That's right. Then there's like the Eternals and then the Defenders and then that it's like getting kind of a lot.
Yeah, I didn't even see the Eternals, so.
No, I didn't either. But I'm just saying, like, you know,
one less thing to worry about.
Yeah. But I feel like that's even like they kind of made that apart. It's like, okay, this is kind of how this works, but it's not really necessarily like you have to watch that in order to come and do this.
Yeah.
You have to watch that in order to like understand the MCU. You know, it's like kind of like a different movie, but
very different for sure. I think the other exciting thing about this movie for me is that Sam Raimi is directing it, and he directed
I didn't know that.
This guy's Spider-Man movies. So maybe get some OG Spider-Man vibes in there. I guarantee you Tobey Maguire comes in for a cameo. Like I am almost convinced that like you'll see him in.
What if they like hang out? Like what if that's like a thing now where they
I remember seeing it like a week ago.
Oh yeah, that's cool. That's really cool. I didn't know he was coming to direct that. See, like now it just opens the possibilities, like even just for the business side of it. And like, hey, you did this. Like, let's make. Obviously, we can trust you with this IP and like this. That's really cool. Okay.
Well, also, I mean, this is going to be I've heard this is like the MCU's first horror film. So there's going to be some crazy, trippy, scary stuff in this movie, and so
I did get that sense.
I'm also looking forward to that too. Yeah,
that'll be interesting. That's cool. So we have lots to look forward to. Like, cool.
yeah, quite a bit. At least as far as Spider-Man and Doctor Strange goes.
Right, and Black Panther.
And Black Panther, yeah. I mean, there are very few. I'll be honest. There are very few Marvel franchises and characters that I'm invested in anymore. I feel like they kind of lost me with Captain America. I'm still invested in Wanda and Scarlet Witch. I could kind of take or leave Captain Marvel. I'm still invested in Guardians of the Galaxy all the way.
Yeah.
Still invested in Spider-Man all the way. I'm still invested in Doctor Strange, Black Panther, Thor, absolutely. But like anything outside of those, I mean, and obviously the Avengers films where it all comes together, but anything outside of that, I just feel like they've kind of lost me. Yeah. And I hate to say that I'm not interested in what they do with Captain America going. I mean, I'll probably check out Captain America 4, but I didn't like what they did with the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. That was
I feel like I don't know. It's kind of like that was cool, but it was like, okay, Steve Rogers had like I like how Sam, you know, took something where it was like, okay, if they're going to ruin it, I better fix it. You know, like I can't just leave the legacy that he left behind that was supposed to be left behind. Now they're trying to ruin it and I have to fix it. It's like, okay, that was great. But you could have just also Disney not made another thing and just kept Captain America in the way he was. But whatever.
Or just not make it about race.
Yeah.
It's like the least interesting thing about Sam Wilson being Captain America is that he's a black man. Like that's the least interesting thing about Sam Wilson. And if that is the MO for him going forward, it's just like I don't want this because that's not what makes Captain America Captain America. It's not the color of the skin of the person carrying the shield.
Well, I think that's what Sam even said to, you know, the older man that he went back and visited. He was like, it's not about this. It's about Captain America, you know, like he was like, they'll never accept you. And he's like, it's not about accepting me. Like, I got to do what's right. You know, and I thought that was cool because that was still like, this is superhero. It's again, with great responsibility, you know, comes great. Oh wait, what is it?
With great power comes
great responsibility. Wow. But you know, I thought that was cool. Yeah.
I think the main thing with that show for me was I think Sam Wilson deserves better. And I don't think they did they gave his character enough to stand on his own, and hopefully like the movie maybe course corrects on that a little bit, but I mean we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
I just didn't think it was a great way to reintroduce Captain America, and especially introduce Sam Wilson as Captain America. But
yeah, it did feel a little cheap. Like it wasn't like new, something new. It was kind of like, oh, let's create a conflict. Here's a conflict, go fix it. It was like, oh well.
Yeah.
And then with our other prince, Chadwick Boseman, rest in peace, love you, man. But I'm sure you've heard the rumors of like Shuri is going to become possibly, something in the universe, and probably the new Black Panther. I don't know. Who knows?
I've heard that the actress Letitia Wright, she, out of respect for Chadwick Boseman, she said she only wants to be Black Panther for one movie.
Oh, cool.
She doesn't want to like be the next successor. So I think what's going to happen is you'll see. Oh my gosh,
I love her.
I know, she's fantastic. I think she is the lead of the movie, so I can't wait to see her lead it. Totally. I think you'll see somebody else take on the mantle of Black Panther, but I don't think it'll be someone that we know. I think it'll be.
Yeah, I can see that. But I think for a moment, I mean, we are going to see her kind of maybe like even struggle with the like, I mean, obviously Black Panther, I don't know, because where did we leave off? Did he? Oh my gosh, now
they got dusted, and then they came back, and then Wakanda was. I mean, literally the last time we saw them was in Wakanda when they were on the balcony after Endgame.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, again, we'll see what happens with that. But anyway, we got, I guess to sum it up, like the multiverse, the possibilities are endless. Like who knows what we're going to see next. So I just hope it
coming at you, bro.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, I think Disney's going to ride the cash train until it completely there's no more milk to get out of there. They're going to continue with this superhero thing, like even after it's dead, but I hope it doesn't continue to like, I don't know. I just, with the characters that we know and love, like, let's not cheapen them. Like, let's just let them, like Iron Man, like, let's let them have their moment and they're gone and okay. So anyway.
Yeah. Unless Robert Downey Jr. wants to pick up that iron suit and come back.
Oh my gosh.
Jump through the multiverse portal and come from a different universe. But I mean, I honestly think
that'd be too much. But
he's gone. Yeah. All right. Well, let's wrap this up. Final thoughts. I'll say just briefly. I mean, you already know we love this film, but I think this is going to go down as one of the greatest superhero films ever made, one of the greatest Spider-Man films ever made.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about John Watts, but I think I'm going to use my final thoughts to talk about him.
Sure.
He started out this franchise a little rocky, in my opinion. I mean, I think he did a great first movie, did a very meh second chapter, and he brought it with this movie. Like,
yeah,
I think that he's got a very successful directing career ahead of him if he can pull off 3 very different movies and then make this be the cake onto the candle on top of the cake. And with all the actors you have to jump, all the storylines, all the past history. Totally. I think we are in debt to John Watts for rising above the ranks to make one of the greatest superhero films of all time. So hats off to him and the writing team, Marvel, Tom Holland, everybody. I think this not only makes me excited to be a Spider-Man fan again, which I haven't been really jazzed about in a while, but it gets me excited for more than just this version of Spider-Man. It gets me excited to see Andrew Garfield again. That was something I thought we'd never get to see.
Please, more Andrew.
But even if they don't, I'll say this: even if we never see
that's true
Andrew Garfield or Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man ever again, this was it.
Yeah,
I'd be a happy camper because
totally.
I never thought this would ever happen, and I went from being so cynical about it to just embracing it, and I'm happy I did. So that's where I'm at. What are your any final thoughts, any final words you want to say, Shelby, before we wrap this up?
Final thoughts, man. I think what you said was great. It's like, if we never get another Spider-Man movie ever, I can die happy. Like this was so cool to see. And I know it's like kind of hokey to be like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe we saw this in our lifetime. But like honestly, like if you love movies, if you love superheroes, if you love this kind of stuff and like this, like you've been through this whole thing, even if you're like a little older than us or a little younger and you got to experience like seeing those movies in the theater and then like to seeing this movie in the theater, and like it was just so good. It was like a nice little just complete little ribbon on top for my like pleasure. It was so good. A nice little, it was the end game of the Spider-Man movie.
Yes.
Spider-Man trilogy. It was like, okay, we had, that's the ultimate Spider-Man movie. Like you had 3 Spider-Mans in one. It's the ultimate Spider-Man movie. Yeah. So if you haven't seen it and you're watching this, I don't know what you're doing here, but if you have seen, I've seen it twice now. It's so good. I'm gonna watch it again multiple times. Like it's great. It was so fun, and I guess just thank you to everyone involved for making this film, because that was so cool for little nerds like us. We appreciate it.
Yeah. I too have seen it twice, and I cannot wait to see it again.
Yeah, same.
If you see my review on Letterboxd, you already know what I give this movie, but I give it a 5 out of 5 stars. Perfect score.
Right.
All right. Well, thank you guys for checking out this episode of the Vince Salerno Podcast. Definitely gonna need to trim this down a little bit because maybe I'll split into 2 parts.
Okay.
So we don't have to cut it in half.
That's a good idea.
Because I like everything we've talked about. I don't want to cut anything out. So
okay.
Look out for the 2-part review of Spider-Man No Way Home by Vince Salerno and Shelby Turner.
Yes.
Coming to podcast platforms near you.
Great.
Well,
thanks
first
for
up, yes, thank you. I was just going to say thank you, Shelby, for joining us. It's always a pleasure to have you. We need to have you on more frequently.
I would love it.
If you're doing stuff online, social media wise, where can people find you?
I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Vimeo. If you want to check out my acting stuff, you can pretty much find me anywhere at Shelby Turner, or Shelby Brienne, my middle name. So that's Shelby Breanne. You can also check me out at my website, shelbyturner.com. That's it. You can find all of my stuff on there and all my social media handles there. So shelbyturner.com if you want to know anything about me.
Sounds great.
Yes.
But for me, guys, I'm still in social media jail. So,
no.
But you can follow me on Twitter at TheBigV75 and on my alternate Instagram, Vince Salerno.
I like that.
I guess my TikTok is still up, so if you want to follow me on TikTok, I think it's just the Big 75, or no, it's the Vince Salerno 75. So hopefully my social media accounts will be reinstated soon. I don't know what's going on with that, Facebook and everything being weird nowadays. I don't even know what I put out there to offend them, but I guess I offended them. So sit tight on that, guys. But otherwise, subscribe to the podcast where you can hear my thoughts and occasionally some great special guests talking. My camera is so messed up. Like,
oh, it's okay.
Technically, this is pointing to you, but I'm pointing away from you. And this is pointing to you, but it's weird. I don't know.
It's okay.
Stupid webcam.
That's okay.
All right. Well, you guys have a great day. Hope you've seen Spider-Man No Way Home. Because if you haven't, then you've just had the whole movie ruined for you. And
but if you haven't seen it, go see it again.
Seriously, go see it again.
Or buy it or rent it, whatever. Have it, because this is great. And you get so many more things in the second one. The second time around. So I would suggest watching it again. It's great. If you're going to watch a movie again, watch this one. So
watch it again. All right. All right. Well, you guys have a fantastic day or evening, wherever you are.
Yes.
We'll see you next time. God bless.
Bye.